everybody, it's Nikki the Nocturnal Bookworm here, and I have a haul for everybody today. You're probably not going to see hauls a ton on my channel. I just don't buy a bunch of books at once. Usually I only buy like one or two, maybe three at a time. However, this weekend there was a big book fair selling thing that happens once a year where I live, and I picked up a bunch of stuff and I'm really excited to show everybody. So here are all of the books that I ended up picking up at this big sale. The first that I'm going to show you was the most expensive thing I got at $3. Yeah, $3. And that is this copy of Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children. I've been wanting to read this for quite a while, and I was really excited to see a non-movie tie-in cover. I usually don't really actually like movie tie-in covers. I tend to prefer the original cover. So I was really excited to see this. It's in pretty good condition. It's actually in really good condition. And I'm really excited to actually have it so that I can read it sometime in the near future. Next thing I'm going to show you guys is this massive thing. This is a copy of Under the Dome by Stephen King. It's something that I've been wanting to read for a little while, and so when I saw it, I decided, you know, I'm gonna go ahead and pick it up. So this one was only like $2.50 as well. So that was a really good deal to me. I think the cover is really pretty. I don't know when I'll get to this one because, as you can see, compared to my face, this thing is massive. I believe it's 1,074 pages. Yeah, you gonna be my buddy today? So it's gonna take me a while. Stephen King really likes to write giant books. I know that it is also really, really large, but at some point I'll make some time and get to this. Honestly, whatever month I decide to read this, it'll probably be one of the, I probably won't read much else that month just because this is so massive and, from what I understand, really involved plot-wise. But I am excited to get to it in the near future. Next thing I grabbed a copy of is this gorgeous hardcover of Red Dragon by Thomas and Harris. This is another series that I've wanted to read for a while, and I absolutely love this cover. I really love hardbacks. That was one of the things I was excited about for this sale, is being able to get hardbacks really cheap. This was only $1.50, and art is really pretty. It's nice. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it, and it's gonna look gorgeous on my shelves, and I'm really excited. Next book I'm going to show you is one of the few Michael Crichton books I haven't read, which is Micro, and it looks like he wrote this one with Richard Preston. I am really excited. Another really gorgeous hardcover, and I was just really excited to pick this up. And the next one, so, you know what, I'm going to let past me explain why I look upset about this one. So this is my day one haul, including also this. I tried really hard because I had to make multiple trips because I had a little bag, which I did on purpose, to not buy double copies of stuff. And what did I do? Bought the hardcover and the soft cover. So I'm probably going to put this one in my little free library, just because I really like patronizing and I think it's a cool idea, and I'm always hyped to share Michael Crichton. It's a favorite author of mine. Yeah, same day. My shitty memory, same day, caused me to pick up the paperback and the hardback. I must have just really loved this cover because they are the same cover art. Like past me said, I'll probably end up putting the paperback in the little free library that's like down the street from me. I only managed to screw up with one other book by confusing it with another book. I did also pick up Like Fantastic by Terry Pratchett, because I was mixing up this and The Color of Magic in my head, and for some reason I thought this was that one, and I do already own a copy of this one, but the other one I have is kind of older, and I may end up keeping both, and this being the one I read and the other one just being the one I have because it's pretty. And I love older cover art, especially older fantasy cover art. So yeah, don't know if I'm going to keep this one or not. This one for sure is going to go in my local free library so somebody else can enjoy the story as well. But I am actually excited. Obviously I picked up 2 copies of it to have Pirate Latitudes. I love a good pirate story. I love Michael Crichton. I think I've mentioned before that Michael Crichton was kind of the first sci-fi author I really remember reading and who I credit with getting me into sci-fi. I know this one is not sci-fi, so it's kind of a weird association, but I guess the point is, as an author, he will always hold a special place in my heart. So I one day hope to can claim that I've read all of his books. So I will probably try to get to this one before the end of the year. But yeah, it's so pretty. Next one, I literally like cried out loud in excitement and happiness when I saw it and like snatched it up really quick, and that was Packing for Mars by Mary Roach. I've heard a lot of good things about Mary Roach, and I have not read any of her books, but they're all on my wish list. And so when I saw this one, especially for $2, I got really excited. Like I said, I kind of cried out in excitement when I saw it, and all the rest of them are on my wish list. So this one, it's also just like a really pretty, it's in hardcover, so I was really excited to be able to pick that up. So I don't know if I've mentioned it before on my channel, but I really love to read histories. These next 2 books are older books, and the first one is about Henry VIII. Henry VIII was a terrible person, but I love to like watch documentaries about him and read about him, and so I was happy to pick up this The Mask of Royalty. So it's like it's a biography all about him. The blurb on the back says, "This is quite simply the best book on Henry VIII that I have ever read. All my life I have been reading about him, but not until now has he become really intelligible to me as a person. This is a completely convincing account of the extraordinary outsized man who made such an impression in his time." So it just sounded really intriguing to me. Like I said, I really like reading and watching stuff about Henry VIII. So, but I have mostly learned stuff about him through documentaries. I haven't really gotten to do a lot of reading about Henry VIII, so I was excited to pick this copy up, and I do think it's like a neat cover. The spine is nice too. I like pretty looking things on my shelf. It's just like the nice black with the red lettering, and it's got the cool suit of armor on the front. The next book, like I said, I believe it's a little bit older as well, and it is New York. I actually have London by this same author, and I didn't know that he wrote other, like, grand sweeping accounts of particular cities. I should have known that, but I just picked up London in a used bookstore a while back, and so when I saw this and saw it was the same author, because it was literally, it says best-selling author of London, the novel. I was like, oh. And I've heard good things about London, and this one seems like the same kind of deal, just about New York. So I just really love like kind of small capsule histories about one particular thing or one particular area. And this looks like a really nice meaty volume all about the city of New York, so I'm excited to get into this and just kind of dive into that history. The cover is gorgeous. It does have a little bit of damage. It looks like this one was well loved, but I mean, it's not, the pages are perfectly fine. So for $2.50, it was a great deal, and I'm really excited to get around to reading this. While I'm going through these, I'm noticing that I have quite a few really thick, big volumes. I'm gonna try not to be intimidated by that. So next little pile that I'm going to pull my way. So moving on to the next couple things that I got, I picked up quite a few of the Dune books. I'm in the process of reading the Dune itself, but I haven't finished it yet. I've kind of put it on hold to read a couple other things this month, but I do hope to finish it by the end of the year, and I would like to eventually read the whole series. Unfortunately, I got Heretics of Dune, Dune Messiah, and God Emperor of Dune. They did not have Children of Dune, which is kind of sad about because I wanted to just grab them all, but it's okay. And I was glad to at least be able to pick up these three. I really like the cover. They're very pretty, and they're all kind of a similar design. And the one that I have is the Dune copy that I have is a different size, but actually the kind of cover design with a solid color and then this like line of other color and a little picture is the same kind of design that my copy of Dune has, so I think that's really neat too. I don't normally actually bother or try to match covers or match stuff because I just kind of pick, when I do a lot of used book shopping, I just kind of pick things that I think are the prettiest. If I'm going between two copies of something, I'll pick the cover I like the best, whether or not it matches anything else in a series. But it's kind of neat that I happen to like all of these, and they are all gonna kind of look the same. The next block I'll kind of show you, I picked up a bunch of Anne Rice. So, I read Interview with the Vampire in high school, and I really, really loved it. I borrowed it from a friend, and unfortunately that friend didn't have the rest of the series, and it was kind of right before I got into having to do a lot of reading for school, so I just never really ended up picking it up, but I've always intended to read the rest of the series, so I finally have an excuse to do that because I picked up The Vampire Lestat, Queen of the Damned, The Tale of the Body Thief, and Memnoch the Devil. So I believe this is almost the whole set. And I also picked up one of the new Tales of the Vampire books, Pandora. So I got that. And that's the Anne Rice I got as far as the vampire tales. That's the Pandora cover. And most of these are, as you can see, this kind of art style. They didn't have that for Queen of the Damned. They only had, this was the nicest, prettiest one that they had for that. But like I said before, I don't really care too much if all my covers and editions are like the same kind of style, as long as I like the style that they're in, and I kind of like this one, and it's a pretty green, and green is one of my favorite colors, so I'm happy about it. That is not, however, all of the Anne Rice that I picked up. I'm just gonna reach over here. Okay, so when I was in my early 20s, began reading this book that I borrowed, I believe, from the library. This is The Witching Hour, which is her first book of her Witches of Mayfair series, and I really liked it, but I had to return it before I got a chance to finish it, and I just never got a chance to check it back out. So when I saw this nice pretty hardcover for $1.50, I was like, gotta have it. And then as I kept browsing that table, I noticed that they had both Taltos and Lasher, which are the next two books in the Lives of the Mayfair Witches series. Both in hardback, both in this nice pretty cover. I was really excited, and I was like, I have to get, I almost just got Witching Hour. Kind of continuing on the supernatural theme, I finally got my own copy of Dracula again. I had a copy of Dracula that somebody bought me. It was a really awesome edition when I, like, right when I first started college. And unfortunately, I moved a lot during my college years and my early mid-20s. My life was kind of unstable, and I ended up moving a lot as part of, like, the life things. And in one of the I lost a bunch of books in the various moves. They just got misplaced, left behind, what have you. If anybody who's moved a lot, you probably know that sometimes stuff just gets lost when you move and doesn't make it back with you. And unfortunately, that copy of Dracula was one of those things, which I'm, as you can tell, still sad about to this day. And I've never bought myself another copy. Anytime I've started to read it, I've borrowed it from somewhere, but I did find this nice Barnes & Noble Classics edition at the book sale, and so I went ahead and picked it up. I've started this book several times, and mostly because I'm borrowing it and just don't get a chance to finish it before I have to give it back. I haven't finished it yet, but now that I have my own copy, I have no freaking excuse, and I'm going to read it. Kind of keeping in that horror style as well, I did pick up another Stephen King novel. I picked up The Gunslinger, and this edition says revised and expanded throughout. I might kind of Google and see what, like, exactly was revised and what was expanded. But I went ahead and picked up this. I like the cover for it. And I've heard really, really good things about the Dark Tower series. It's just one of those things, my TBR is so long. I don't think I'll ever get through all of it, and there's a lot of books that I want to read, and this is one of those series that I've wanted to read, and now I own a copy of the book, and I found that if I own it and have it physically in my home, I'm more likely to get to it faster. So I was really excited to find this and be able to pick it up, and so it'll be going on my shelves. Another thing I picked up on the sci-fi fantasy horror table is Jupiter by Ben Bova. I don't know much about this, but if you've kind of seen my Tome Infinity and Beyond stuff, I'm reading the first book in the Grand Tour series called Parasat, which this book is part of the Grand Tour series. So I'm kind of, whenever I see these books, kind of picking them up one at a time. I have Parasat, Privateers, New Earth, and I think one other one already, but I didn't have this one already, so I went ahead and grabbed it when I saw it on the table. Alright, so we're getting towards the end of my pile. Another sci-fi that I picked up on that table is The Cat Who Walks Through Walls. So, this is by Robert A. Heinlein. Apparently it is part of a series, but from what I've gathered, you can read these out of order and it's not a problem. So I'm really excited to have a copy of this again and finally get to read it. So the second to last book that I'm going to talk about is The Years of Rice and Salt by Kim Stanley Robinson. I haven't read anything by Kim Stanley Robinson. I want to read the Red Mars trilogy at some point, but this book is also one that's interested me by the author. Basically, it's like an alternate history if the Black Death, instead of killing 1/3 of the population, had killed 99% of the population instead. So, and kind of how history would change. So, this is kind of like a alternate history long form retelling of kind of what the world would have been like and how everything would have gone. I'll kind of read the part of the blurb on the back. Through the eyes of soldiers and kings, explorers and philosophers, slavers and scholars, Robinson navigates a world where Buddhism and Islam are the most influential and practiced religions, while Christianity is merely a historical footnote. Probing the most profound questions as only he can, Robinson shines his extraordinary light on the place of religion, culture, power, and even love in this bold new world. And like I said, basically the kind of setup is that when the Black Death came through Europe, instead of killing 1/3 of Europe's population, it killed 99%. So almost nobody lived. And I'm really, really interested in kind of seeing how this is. I've heard he's a really good author, and so when I was able to pick this up, I was excited. The last book is called Nama's Kiss by Jacqueline Carey. So this book I had not heard of before. I was picking up random books on the second day that were left on the sci-fi fantasy table, and I was kind of reading synopses, and this one kind of grabbed me, and basically while I was there, if I had time, I'd have my phone close to me and I'd look up reviews on Goodreads and kind of see if there was something that looked interesting but I hadn't heard of, and kind of see if it might be something that I'd be interested in. And I was scrolling through reviews of people, both my friends, people I follow, people I have no connection to, and one particular, they were all good, pretty much everybody liked it, and then the one review in particular, the first sentence was, one of the first sentences was, it's really hard to pull off a bisexual druidess, but this person did it. And that was a review from Felicia Day, and I was like, at that point I was like, well, I'm going to pick this up because it sounds like they managed to do a strong female character who is bisexual, and I also love magic users in fantasy, and from what it sounds like from different people's reviews, especially people that I either follow or know, they did the bisexual representation in a positive light, which as a bisexual person myself, I always super appreciate. I really appreciate when representations of bisexuals are done in a good way. I don't find bisexual characters in non-erotica literature very often, so I'm excited to kind of see how this goes. It's a trilogy. It's in the same universe timeline as the Cashel books by this same author, but from what I read, you can read the trilogies in any order. So I'm really excited to pick this up, and sounds like it's got a good strong female character who's a magic user and good bisexual representation. So yeah. So that's all the books that I picked up. I got a lot of stuff that I was really excited about, and so if you've read any of these books that I've mentioned, I'd love to hear your thoughts on them. Comment down below with what you thought of any of them, or if any of the ones that I mentioned are things that you're wanting to read or sound interesting to you. I'd love to hear that as well. If you like this video, if you want to click the like button or even the subscribe button so you can see future videos from me, I'd super duper hella appreciate it. Until next time, guys, have a great rest of your night.